Please make your way back to your seat. I can start calling out names if you would like. Al, Green, make your way to your seat, please. Chief Denny, make your way to your seat, please. Deb Teeter, make your way to your seat, please, everyone. People always ask me, what is a school leader doing interviewing somebody from IBHS? Spoiler alert, I actually have the very first IBHS wildfire prepared home in Paradise, in the United States, the world, and potentially the universe. Okay, so let me introduce Alistar to you. As Chief Product Officer at IBHS, Alistar Watt leads the Institute's efforts to translate science into practical solutions for the built environment. In addition to overseeing outreach and education across various platforms, he is also responsible for expanding the wildfire prepared home and fortified designation program. Let's welcome Alistar Watt to our stage. And then hop right on over here. So Alistar and I met, I think it was the summer of 2022. And the town of Paradise calls me and says, hey, we need to do a press release we're adopting the IBHS wildfire prepared home standards. Your house was built to those standards. Can we use it for a press conference? And I'm like, sure. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I don't really care, but whatever the town needs, I'm happy to do it. So IBHS comes to my house and gets my house. It was built by Trilogy Construction, also, who was building to those codes ahead of it being released by the town. IBHS comes to my house for like a week, the engineers, before the press conference, just to make sure that my house was ready to go. Little did I know that literally my house is blasted all over everywhere. So that right there is my house on Shea Lane in Paradise. I will all the time get people calling me like, hey, we're doing a tour really quick and we're going to be stopping by your house. It's there, a lot of pressure because I have to run up there and go pick weeds and do all that kind of stuff to make sure that it's really ready to go. But what they wanted to do was make sure that they could put the diagrams around it to show zone 0, show different building materials that are being used, the roof events and all that stuff. Okay, still, I didn't really care. I was from Paradise. I lived in Paradise my whole life. I've been evacuated a million times. And we all knew that someday a fire was going to happen, but didn't really feel like we had the tools or any kind of power to avoid losing our homes in our town. So I'm standing outside in my yard while IBHS is like pulling plants up. They're up against my house and taking the plastic privacy slats out of the gate and putting aluminum ones in. And a little tiny fire has started down in the canyon, the canyon where the fire came up over on the east side of town. Cal Fire is knocking it out super quick, but there's smoke coming out. And these guys from IBHS are like, oh my gosh, there's a fire in the canyon. They're videoing it. I'm getting nervous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, panicking. And they're like, why are you panicking? I'm like, there's a fire right there in the canyon where it started. They're like, this house isn't gonna burn. What are you talking about? This house isn't gonna burn. They're like, nope. If that fire comes up this canyon, it's not taking this neighborhood out. And I could not understand how that could even be possible. And so they start showing videos from their lab. Where's your lab at?
In Richmond, South Carolina.
And they've been trying to build houses in different ways and trying to burn them down, trying to figure out how to build houses so they don't burn down. And I'm watching the science of them trying to burn houses house down and then not burning down because they were built like mine and had a zone zero defensible space 5 feet. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I get it. Now I love you guys. Thank you so much. Because now I have this sense of peace and security that I had no idea was even possible. Let alone the benefits of insurance and all that from this and what it does for our whole entire town. But anyways, that's my claim to fame right there. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Alistar, I'm going to hand this to you. And I'm going to ask you, can you briefly explain who IBHS is and what your organization does?
Sure, that was one of the longest introductions I've ever had in my life. Honestly, I'm blushing a little bit. So,
This story's really about you, not me, but I'm
you've
excited about
done
it.
this more times than
Yeah.
IBHS was formed about 15 years ago. It was on this site. What you're looking at is a 100-acre site in Richburg, South Carolina. If you're thinking to yourself, why Richburg, South Carolina, and where is Richburg? Those are two very good questions. I have the answers for them. I'll be on the back table again, and welcome to us. There's a really good answer for it. It's not quite as random as it appears. But we study wind, we study rain, we study hail, and we study wildfire. Those are the four perils that the insurance industry that funds us, the only people that fund us. They asked us to study those perils to understand how we can make businesses and homes safer from those perils. Risk has a price. Your insurance reflects risk and has a price. If you reduce risk, you reduce price. You reduce the cost of the insurance industry, as you heard Victor talk about from Mercury, and you reduce the risk and the price for the whole. That's what it's all about. And that's what we try and do as science nerds. What you see here is you've got 105 fans, each of which is 355 horsepower. You can generate up to category 3 hurricanes inside the building. It's a 6-story hangar. You're more interested in wildfire. What we can do is we can create some of the winds that you would see coming along the canyon. Then we ignite buildings, good ones, bad ones built our centers, ones that you would typically see. We hit them with the winds, we hit them with wildfire, and we study what the effect is of different distances between them, different building materials, etc. We bake all that into programs, and the program that Colin spoke so clearly about, the wildfire prepared program.
So what is that certificate, the Wildfire Prepared Home Certificate, and why is it important for homeowners?
That's a good question. Insurance companies are sometimes a little skeptical about what they hear when someone applies, which is not to say anyone in this room would say anything is false, but there may be some inaccuracies that get translated. What the certificate does is it tells an insurance company that you have done everything properly to mitigate your house according to the required standard. Let me say that again. You have done everything in the case of wildfire prepared home that is required in the standard. It has been inspected, it's been photographed, it's been documented, it's gone through quality assurance. And so that piece of paper to the insurance company is worth a lot. They know what the risk is, so they can associate a price with that risk. That's what this certificate is.
Tell us how the whole parts of the system all play to help mitigate risk.
Yeah, so actually, before we do that, let me talk a little bit about some of the early days of this program, because some of you in this room may have actually felt some of this. So we started this program up on June 22nd at Casey's house. Gary Ledbetter, I don't think it's here today, was the second youth man to get a designation in Paradise. And at that time, we expected to get a small number of applications as you do at the beginning of these programs, and it grows over time. That's what we can see with our Fortify program. At the end, in the fourth quarter of 2023, we got 3,000 applications, and we were not ready for that. We were really not ready for it. And we had some issues with our inspection companies, we had some issues with tracking people's email addresses and such like, so we very quickly tried to fix this problem. And in July the following year, we implemented a new system, and everything's open up portal now. It's very predictable communication. nobody should be having any issues with communicating with us and understanding where they are in the application process and what they need to do next, if anything, to achieve the designation. So, for any of you that were affected, thank you for your patience, and I believe we've fixed most of those problems now.
Well, do you want to talk about the specific steps or requirements a homeowner must meet to get that certificate?
Yeah, so the first thing you do is go to wildfireprepared.org, not .com, wildfireprepared.org. There's lots of cool videos and stuff like that. There's some training resources. It's all free. And you apply. In Paradise, there's a grant program that we set up which will pay for your application fee if you're one of the first 100 applicants. So far we have 73 designations. And so there's still room for other people to get their application fee refunded. You will then go through an eligibility phase, and what that eligibility phase is says, have you done the hardest thing that's required in order to get this designation, which is, have you created a zone zero? It asks for 8 pictures, 2 from each corner of your house, looking down the sides of your house. You submit those pictures. We look at those pictures. We might ask you some questions. We might ask you for some other pictures, just things that we can't see. And if you've done that, then you have passed the eligibility. Less than 35% of people pass eligibility at this point. It's getting better, but a lot of people have the misconception that if they just apply, they'll get the certificate. It's not like that. We have to verify, we have to collect information, we have to collect photographs, we have to send inspectors to make sure everything's done. Once you're through eligibility, then we send someone to your house. They'll communicate with you, so there are no surprises. You don't see somebody coming on your lot, taking pictures on your windows, and wondering what they're doing. And they will collect 56 pictures, and they'll collect some data on your roof type, and your vents and such like. And then we'll send that back to us electronically, and then we'll assess it from a quality assurance perspective. We may ask you some other questions about things that we see in the pictures that are not quite clear to us. And once we're satisfied that you have met everything in the standard, not 99%, 100%, 99% is not a passive grade. You have to get to 100%. Then we give you that certificate, and you can take it to your insurance company.
So what would you say is the number one barrier getting in the way of people getting certified?
It's a good question. So we have built a database for market research of all but 3 counties in California, and they're very sparsely populated counties, so it's hard to get people into our database. And we modeled some questions, and we asked exactly that question: what is the number 1 barrier? Would anyone like to guess?
Money. Zone zero.
Money. And that's because most of California is already built. They're not rebuilding, they're building. And so it takes money and time and knowledge to create your zone zero. In Paradise, you're doing a lot of rebuilding, and as Clyde simply explains, the ordinance requires you to create that zone zero. So it's easier to start from nothing to create it than it is to create it from an existing house with a beautiful English garden in the front with all your favorite plants, shrubs, decorations. That's hard. And so for most people in California, that is the hardest thing, is to create zone zero. In Paradise, it's not so hard because most of you are real.
What if I just have a couple of plants next to my house?
If there are non-combustible pots and you can remove them on a red flag day, you can go through the races.
So how does having the wildfire prepared home certificate affect insurance or risk assessment?
So you heard Victor earlier talk about the discounts that they're applying. And I was surprised to hear that he mentioned 40%. That was a surprise to me. Because the previous conversations I've had with them, they were looking at lower numbers. They like what they're seeing when people do the mitigation. They like what they're seeing. They especially like it in Paradise because there's still a lot of space between houses. So that's good as opposed to a community where you've got densely packed houses that can ignite each other on a really bad day. So the certificate gives you that. It depends on the insurance company and where they are, but it's worth something.
I want to touch back on because I was joking about having plants that I love outside my house. And you can actually have plants in pots. If they're non-combustible pots, you can have those within your zone 0 as long as you can move them yourself. And I've been able to do that and put a lot of nice color around my house actually and still qualify. So I'm glad that you brought that up. What common misconceptions do homeowners have about wildfire preparation?
So the most common misconception is doing some of it is enough. But come on, I've done 80% of it. You guys think it is not enough. So brace yourself for the next couple of slides, if you will, please. This is what it looks like when your zone 0 is attacked on a bad day by embers. Those are not flames, those are embers. And this is what it's like when a firefighter is trying to do, these are from the LA fires. This is what it's like when a firefighter is trying to put out those ignitions in your zone 0. And that's just one house, one firefighter.
So you touched a little bit on how homeowners can get started if they want to pursue the certification. Any more details you want to give on that?
Yeah, so one of the best ways is always to learn more about the program, more about, for those of you, some people are more nerdy like me about the science and they want to learn the science a little bit. We've created, it's like a learning management system type thing on wildfireprepared.org. You can find the education tab at the top of the screen. And you can go down and you can take the course for free. It'll tell you why we say you should have dual pane tempered windows, why we say you should have zone 0, why we say non-combustible siding, why we say all the different components that are listed here in the present on Casey's house. And just understanding that, I think, helps. Otherwise, it's just you're trusting somebody else and you don't really understand yourself. So those resources are there. There are checklists you can use. There are there's one other company which is here today, which we link to, which you can, if you want a more full service kind of option instead of doing it yourself, that option's available to you too. And again, you can access that through wildfireprepared.org. So that's the way to get started.
There's also a link to Wildfire Prepared Home Program on the Town of Paradise website as well, that you can get there that way. So how does that zone 0, we're just going to talk about zone 0 all day and all night, how does it play into the Wildfire Prepared Home certification? Why is that such an important part?
So there's one more, there was one more slide in here. Let me see if there it is. Okay. So we talked a lot about zone 0 in terms of vegetation. There are other things that can burn. I see the fire chief nodding his head over there. There are other things that can burn in zone 0. These are pictures that were taken from the LA fires. And trash cans. There's the words written on the top of trash cans. No hot embers. No hot ashes. That's it. And no hot embers. This is what happens when it's typically structural embers, so bigger ones that come off other houses that are burning or from trees that catch, and they land on the top. Trash cans are designed to be easy to open, so they're thinner on top. And so when something that's hot lands on them, it's easy to burn through that layer and get to what's inside. We had one of our scientists estimate what's the equivalent of a trash can that's half full of paper. What's its equivalent in gasoline? And the answer is 3 gallons. That's basically solid gasoline that's beside your house. On a red flag day, get it away from 0 to 5. Put it in your garage or put it out by the street. Just don't leave it there. Fences, I think there's good knowledge now that fences wake towards the house if they're wood, and so you've got to stop that. The one on the right is another example, something that goes in 0 to 5. Any guesses as to what it was? Somebody said it.
Soil.
It says
Soil. Garden soil.
There was a context clue there, you're right. It's hot tub.
Oh, hot.
You see what you did? We thought hot tubs were not nearly as big a problem as they actually are, and so we weren't running the lab to see, so we hit with the numbers. But I don't know if ever looked at the underside of a hot tub, it's like a big cavern. And there's insulation there that's pretty easy to ignite. And so when embers get underneath, they can set it fire from underneath and then it goes up. So even though it's full of maybe 80 gallons of water, it's not until the whole thing's pretty much destroyed that the water comes to play in. So now we move, our standards is to move hot tubs 10 feet away from the house to make it safer.
Is there anything else that we would cover that you feel like people need to know?
I think there's, when we first started talking with Colette and Kevin Phillips and Tony back in 2020, I was a member of Team 3 at the time, and I was just really impressed with the leadership that the town showed in leaning in. We talked to towns, we talked to municipalities about adopting ordinances that help with wildfire mitigation. And bureaucracy gets in the way sometimes, and it's hard work. This town wanted to take on that work, and the fact that you now have ordinances in force is remarkable. There are very few jurisdictions in the United States that claim the same accomplishment. So thank you, Colette, and the rest of the team.
I'm so grateful that our town had the foresight to do that because I wouldn't have even known, right? And so now here I am in this very safe home. So when the lightnings were striking all over the place, I went outside and took my wreath and my throw pillows off my patio furniture and put it inside. And I moved all of my plants and my pots away from my house and closed all the windows. And I had this sense of peace of no matter what ends up happening, this house is going to be okay. And I just appreciate the town of Paradise and the good research that you guys have been doing for so long. Science, it's so amazing. We really appreciate it. Let's thank Alistar.
Casey kind of gets a well-deserved introduction. This is Casey Taylor, the founder and superintendent of Achieve Charter Schools of Paradise. After the 2018 Paradise Campfire, Casey led her team in reopening schools temporarily in church facilities in the neighboring city of Chico. In the 2021-22 school year, Casey opened Achieve Charter School at Chico and reopened Achieve Charter School of Paradise at the original campus in Paradise. She and her team are working to reopen Achieve Charter High School in Paradise in the coming years. Casey is a Paradise native, committed to providing high-quality educational options to the community, especially during the rebuilding process. Casey returned home to Paradise in 2021 and has the first wildfire-prepared home in the nation. She sits on multiple boards, including the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, Valley Contractors Works Foundation, and the California Charter Schools Association. She is also active in Paradise Rotary Club. She currently supports other school leaders across the state and nation in rebuilding schools after disasters. She is frequently asked to share a chief story to inspire others and advocate for state and federal support. Please welcome Casey Taylor.
Okay, I'm going to interview Jen Goodlin now. We're going to talk about the defensible, our gravel grant, helping create defensible space. And I will never forget, Jen's like, I need to have lunch with you. I want to tell you about this crazy, wild idea I have. and we're sitting down, and she's telling me about this idea, and I'm like, I just, no, it doesn't seem that crazy and wild. Well, little did I know that it would have this huge impact with tons of ripples all across our state. Now everybody is so interested in it. It's turned out beautiful. So, Jen, tell us how this idea was born.
Well, is my mic on? Okay. Whoops. So when I sat down with Casey that day, I was like, I have this idea, rocks. She's like, okay. Our job at Reno Paradise has always been, there's a hurdle our community is facing, and is it already been addressed? And if not, is there something that we can do? So many of our other grant programs were born from that, and so is this one. So we actually communicate frequently with IBHS. And for our town, every stick-built home is built to the IBHS Wildfire Prepared Home Standard. But several years ago, there were such a small amount of homes that actually had a certificate, and I didn't know why. What is the barrier for keeping all of these brand new constructed homes that are built to this code and standard? What is keeping them from getting their certificate? This doesn't make sense to me. So we asked them, why aren't there more wildfire prepared home certificates in our town? And their response was, they always fail at zone 0. So we decided, what if we provide the resource to get people to that last thing that is preventing? You will get a lot more people who are compliant if they have a tool to get them there.
So the Defensible Space Grant was born. Tell us about it.
So what it is it helps homeowners achieve zone 0. It's gravel that helps homeowners get to zone 0. So what it is $200 to $500 worth of gravel. It's for the perimeter of your home, and it's to create non-combustible zone 0. It's to help with both fire safety and insurability. So you can see in the picture here, the idea of zone 0, as we're going to just keep telling you again over and over and over.
So tell us about eligibility. Is it only for low-income families? Who gets it, and what steps does a homeowner take to apply for the grant?
It is actually very important for us to make grants easy and everyone eligible. I'll never forget when I first started at Rebuild Paradise, someone came into our office and said, you are the first people to not tell us no. And that's very important. This grant, there is no income limit. Fire does not pick who they want, what house to burn down, whether you're low income or high income. Everybody needs to be doing defensible space. So the qualifications are pretty simple. You must be the primary resident, live in the campfire footprint, which is Paradise, Magalia, Concow, and Butte Creek Canyon. Now, if you're in Upper Magalia, we have allowed several applicants who have gone to the extra work to make their zone 0 free of combustibles. If you're in Upper Magalia and apply, we will not disqualify you even if you're out of that footprint. And you must be gravel ready. This has been the hardest part for people to get their application through. So when you apply, you have to show photos of your home that you're ready for gravel. You cannot have existing plants next to your house. And we always say this isn't our rule. We're really trying to help you get insurance. And then at least 25% still needs hardscaping. So you might already have sidewalk on one side, a patio. That does not disqualify you. As long as one side of your home still needs gravel or defensible space, you can still apply. We want to get you all the way to the end. Your gravel award will just be less. So in addition to the photos, you need state ID, proof of your home ownership, which includes deed, property tax, or insurance policy, and then the full profile photos. So you'll see on the slide, this is a homeowner. They actually removed some of their grass in order to be eligible. It has to be 5 feet from the roof line. And this is another common misconception. So making sure you're 5 feet from the roof line, that is zone 0.
So you have to be gravel ready to get this grant. What does gravel ready mean?
So gravel ready means removing, for most of us, it's things like mulch. It might be plants. For many people, it's actually nothing. Newly constructed home is often not landscaped, and all they need to do is take pictures. So you'll see some examples here. there's a homeowner that had a large bush, they actually removed that. It shows it's not gravel ready. Their application was declined at that time. They removed it and resubmitted, and they were accepted. Below that, you'll see a photo with just some really low ground cover. That also needs to be removed. On the other side, often people will have maybe grasses or weeds, as long as they're cut down to a level you're still considered gravel ready, and for others it might be removing more landscaping material.
Do you have some examples of homes that have received our grant?
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Actually, James is here, I believe. He is also in Firewise community. There's James. Jeannie and James actually heard about our gravel grant through Firewise. So one of the beauties of Firewise is you learn about resources that are in our community. This is very important to be part of this. So they applied for our grants, and you can see the before and after. So they have a pot there still, but it wasn't a lot of work for them. So Jeannie and James actually have an older constructed home that survived the campfire. We saw their efforts that they made for their home, and this is when Mercury had started to write policies, and we said, look, you guys have non-combustible siding, you actually have a newer roof, you actually meet the qualifications despite your home not being a new build. And they said, no, I don't think we qualify, like, we can't get a Mercury policy, we're in fire zone 10. You know, they were like, there's just no way we're getting a fair plan. We said, I don't know, let's try. Let's let the insurance company decide. So we did. We had them reach out to Mercury, and they wanted one small change. They wanted a little bit of fireproof mesh under the deck, and they were given a policy earlier this year, I believe, or at the end of last year. So Jeannie and James were on the fair plan, paying a large amount, and were able to get on a standard insurance policy for the efforts that they made for their home utilizing our gravel grant.
What do you see as the main obstacle for our people getting the wildfire prepared home designation?
It's zone 0, and it's the idea that we can't live with both plants and zone 0. We can have both, I promise. We have very large lots in Paradise. We're starting from scratch. It comes with sacrifice, and we always say, don't get rid of your plants, move them, give them away, be creative. We get stuck with this, like, this is a punishment. It's actually an opportunity, I think, and it invites much more creativity. We are an example to so many other communities. We get a fresh start, let's do it right. And I am an avid gardener. I love plants. So I understand the hardship, especially if you planted and you lost your home in the campfire and we're asking you to take away more. This is not something we are saying is easy, but we're saying in order for us to be fire safe and insurable moving forward for us and future generations, it's like our new seatbelt.
I'm glad you bring that up. I think it's also hard for some homeowners whose homes did make it past the fire and they have foliage and landscaping all around, and it's like, yeah, but my house made it. When people say, like, my house made it, why do I have to do this? What do we say?
It's the new industry standard, and I don't know if your house will make it next time.
And we don't make the rules, right? The insurance
Yes.
company is making the rules, and that is how we win the game at insurance. It's taking every single step that we're being asked to do.
Yes, and I think it's just, you're almost there every time, someone comes in. Wildfire Prepared Home is saying your home needs all of these things listed. It needs a Class A roof. It needs dual pane windows. It needs non-combustible siding. It needs ember-resistant vents. It needs a non-combustible door. An ignition-resistant deck. Your home is already built like that in this town if it is newly constructed. It is so much easier for us than Grass Valley. This is a big challenge for them. For us, it is not. But in 30 years, we will look like Grass Valley again if we don't do something different. So you're already there. This is the last step to getting to the Wildfire Prepared Home certification. And what people don't realize, I know there's frustration, like it's a small discount, it doesn't matter, I'm getting 5% off. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not going to be a discount anymore. It is going to be a requirement. That is going to be a big difference. Many insurers, if you want a standard policy, will require this. So it is our job to help you get there.
Thank you for championing this and not giving up. We appreciate your hard work. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, and this, sorry, there's a little bit more. As we've communicated with insurance companies, we've identified the zone zero, the gates. Most people here, because it is an ordinance, do have the non-combustible gate. If you don't, switch it out. And then the other one is if your deck is 4 feet or less, you have to put ember-resistant mesh around it to protect embers from blowing underneath. We did have a resource for that today. We unfortunately couldn't be here, but I would encourage you to ask some of our Firewise leaders. They are aware of this. Insurance companies do want to see that mesh to prevent embers from collecting under your deck. And then here's one of our success stories.
We're excited to share with you some of the things that they did around their home in order to prepare it for gravel. So, Roger, Lenny, why don't you go around and show us and explain what was here before and what you've done now?
What was here before was quite a few plants. There was a small tree here, lots of bushes and plants inside of here to where you almost couldn't see the fountain. What we did was we removed all the plants, transplanted some of them friends came and took so we wouldn't have to throw everything away. And we went out, we got the gravel grant from Rebuild Paradise Foundation, and through them we were able to purchase this rock and everything and come up with some sort of design that would appeal to the house, still have the house looking good, and
fire safe.
And be fire safe,
So
yes.
we can be protected and then also reduce our insurance costs.
With Rebuild Paradise helping us get through to Mercury Insurance, we are now saving over $4,000 a year, and we are off the California Fair plan. Once again, there were quite a few shrubs and a little ground cover right in this area. Then we have a metal fence here,
Kind of a rustic looking.
kind of a rustic looking fence. This is metal. What we've done over here is, when we purchased this house, this whole area right here was full of plants also. They have been removed, and what we did was then we incorporated that same walkway into here and just made it wider, but we still have the 5-foot clearance from the edge of the roof all the way out. This area here, there were actually 3 trees right here, a lot of ground cover and everything like that. We have taken all that out. We are waiting for more rock at this moment to come and do this area also right in here.
Lindy, I think it's very important we let people know that it's not just about rocks, but we very much promote plants, and I see many lovely plants in your yard. Can you talk about some of what you have?
Yes, so, we've got fruit trees, like this is a pomegranate, we have a plum there, and then some over there. But we just have some low-lying too, some flowering plants as well as just a mix. So it's nice to see the clean look of the rock, but then also look out and see grass and green. So it's a nice combination of both. And a lot of lilies, because they do well here, and then we made a little area for birds over there, which we do get a lot of, and hummingbirds, and so it's just a nice mix.
So Jen, what do I do if I want to apply for this grant?
You can visit our website, rebuildparadise.org. We will we'll have a table today where there's applications there, and we always keep them outside of our office. So please apply, we want to help you get there.
The beautiful thing is that other communities like Altadena are picking up this gravel grant idea. The insurance commissioner is incorporating this into a new bill that he's running to try to help create defensible space in Hardin Cove. So thank you for your good work and your brilliant idea about rocks.
Also, thank you, Roger and Lindy, for continuing letting us use your home as an example to all of the insurance companies who remain here today. Thank you guys so much. All right, next I would like to introduce Philip Irwin. Philip Irwin is a seasoned professional with over 3 decades of experience in the insurance industry. He currently serves as the broker liaison for the California Fair Plan, where he still plays a crucial role in bringing the gap between brokers and the Fair Plan, ensuring effective communication and streamlined operations. In addition to his role at the Fair Plan, Phil is the president of a prominent insurance agency located in El Dorado County, where he continues to leverage his extensive industry knowledge and leadership skills to drive success and growth. His long-standing commitment to the insurance field underscores his expertise and dedication to the advancing insurance practices. Please welcome Philip Irwin.
Thank you. All right, the trick is to hold my readers and maybe I'm trying to go with that. You know, I guess before we get started, I just want to mention, and I think we talked about this when we were prepping a little bit, you know, for such a tragic event to have occurred and devastation, it's really, and luckily, I feel fortunate to have been part of some of the Rebuild Paradise events that took place right shortly after the fire occurred, and just really seeing the unity and the community come together and rebuild and to just learn from this. And I'll tell you, in my experience, the impact, we talk about Paradise every day. There isn't, whether it's the campfire, or the new direction Paradise is going, you guys are the cutting edge of all of the best practices for making your home, your community fire safe. And I've even seen it even shortly after the Cold War fire, the Creek fire, and just other areas where you saw the difference of the homes that put these practices into place versus the ones that didn't. So it truly is, you truly have made an impact on the state, and will continue to do that in the leading role that you are right now. And you know, my hat's off to you and your leadership. It's really great to be part of this meeting today.
Is this on? Okay. Yes, so I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception about the Fair Plan in general. Can you briefly explain what the California Fair Plan is and when homeowners use it?
You know, I can run you through some of our slides because it really helps kind of provides the foundation of a better understanding, you know, why we exist and how to use it. So we were created in 1968, and after it was at the time some civil unrest that was going on, as well as some major wildfire seasons, and as a safety net for Californians to have a place to get insurance at a time when insurance carriers basically weren't comfortable running in certain areas. So it was important to have an option. So we became a safety net, the insurance last resort. You know, how we work, it's important to understand that too. So it's unique. So we're created by statute, but not funded by part of the government. So, and this happened this started in 1968. So we're private and not for profit, and we're backed by all property and casualty insurance licensed to write homeowners insurance in California. So there's, I believe, 115 companies that are considered member companies. I don't know from the Department of Insurance, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is 115. So we're part of the residual market, and we are one of over 30 similar organizations in the states across the U.S. So there's over 30 type of fair plan organizations throughout the U.S. So it's not just in California. And really what makes us different, one one of the aspects that make us different is we do not have agents, so we're registered brokers to conduct business with, but not on behalf of the fair plan. And we do not market, so our goal is not to grow or compete. We're here to serve, and we do not endeavor to increase or keep our market share. So we encourage insurers and brokers to regularly seek insurance in the standard market. So our goal is to see the market restored or receive with a traditional carrier as soon as possible. So where we are today, this is, if you think of the discussion that Victor was providing for Mercury, you know, where they're really living a sliver and they really are in a position to control their portfolio or manage their concentration in a particular area. We don't have that ability. We have to write everything that's in need, basically. So we're at the center of the California homeowners insurance crisis right now. We're responding to increased needs as voluntary insurers limit their policies in California. So again, the voluntary insurers are really looking at their capacity in each zip code or each area. They're really narrowing that down to where they're comfortable. As a result, we've had over 400% growth in the last 4 years, which is tremendous. We've become the third largest property insurer in the state of California. So again, pretty remarkable numbers. You need to go to our website to see these numbers more. They're updated regularly. But again, as I tell people, if you want to look at the status of the state of where we are today, if you're seeing us grow at the rate that we have, and it's really been since the campfire, that's a sign that we're just going in the wrong direction. It's not a sign that things are getting better. It's a sign that things are still trending in the wrong direction. So just a brief overview of our products. So we offer dwelling, so homeowner type products, commercial products, and also earthquake through the California Earthquake Authority. And again, for the home, just to clarify, so we offer coverage for all dwelling types. So again, if you've got a tenant-occupied home, a short-term rental, or a home that you're occupying as a primary owner, occupant. Again, dwelling types are 1 to 4 family units with a dwelling fire policy. So again, if you've got a duplex or a fourplex, that would be written on this product. Also, we provide coverage for mobile or floating homes. Eligible occupancies are owner-occupied, tenant-occupied, seasonal or short-term rentals. Also, vacant occupancies are also insurable. So, the perils that we cover, we're what's called a named peril policy. So we cover against fire, lightning, internal explosions, smoke damage, and then we have extended coverages available for windstorm, hail, explosions, riot or civil commotions, aircraft collisions, and volcanic eruptions. So and also you can have vandalism, malicious, struggle with getting these words out sometimes, malicious, mischief. Also, our coverages that are separately available. And then for the homeowners, the dwelling fire policy, the maximum total insurance value is $3 million. And we have deductibles ranging from $100 to $20,000 for that product. And then go through this pretty quickly for commercial coverage as well. The perils are very similar. The one additional coverage available for commercial buildings, we have sprinkler leakage coverage available, and we just recently increased our total insurance value, again, due to demand to $100 million total insurance value. And again, that was mostly related to the need from homeowners associations in areas that have large commercial policies that we're not able to get coverage. And again, our earthquake coverage is offered through the CEA. And then, again, you're all probably familiar with the fact that the differences for the fair plan, the key elements that are not covered on the fair plan policy for the...
This is why people are like, why do I have two policies?
Why do I have two policies?
This is why, right?
It's part of the puzzle because if the two policies together, you would have most of the standard coverages on each of the 3 policies, but the 3 main elements that are not on the California Fair Plan policy would be water damage, theft, and liability. And that's what the different conditions policy would provide. And there's lots of carriers that offer that policy. And then what we've been talking a lot about, the wildfire hardening discounts, and the good news is there's going to be a new communication going out to your brokers tomorrow, and for changes that are taking place, enhancements, additions that are taking place coming in November. So our first wave of wild hardening discounts, one was protecting the structure, and again, I think there's 5 elements in order to qualify for that discount, that you have to qualify for all 5. So as an example, for older construction, if you didn't have enclosed eaves, if you didn't have that one element, but you had all the others, that would disqualify you from having a discount. So now we're breaking it down into increments, and you can either qualify for each element individually or all collectively if you do qualify for all. Another one was the one that makes me cringe the most is the fence line you're rolling straight to the house. Again, that's very common, unfortunately, still in much of the state, and that's another area that many people do not qualify for that discount. And again, same with the defensive space. You know, all of this falls in line with the expectations of the Fire Safety Council and firewise requirements too. So again, it's all very consistent.
So if I have to resort to a fair plan, right? I can't find a standard policy, but I've hardened my home. I have defensible space. I'm in a firewise community. All these things impact my rate for the fair plan.
Correct. And you know, I'm really glad to see the discount available because again, you're being rewarded for taking very prudent steps to make your house more fire safe. And traditional insurance companies have discounts to make themselves competitive, or make their products more competitive. But again, this is truly a reward to see that you're taking these steps that are expensive, that are labor intensive. You know, defensible space grows back. It's not something that you just do once and you're done. It comes back. It's strong. So it's a big effort, a lot of energy, and again, all these resources that you talk about. So again, this is a reward for taking those steps because we believe they're going to make an impact as well, and we deserve a discount for that. We talked about the firewise community. That's come a lot. That's come up a lot. There is forestry. There is an additional discount that is going to be available for designated safer from what was it?
Safer from wildfire?
Yeah, there's 8 designated counties, basically, or communities, they're calling them. But
We're in one.
you're in one, and that's coming out. So that announcement's coming out soon. So again, that's just another community. I know that's I think that list was established in 2024, so we'll be updated in 2026. No doubt you guys will be on in 2026. But again, so it's good to see that's finally coming to fruition too from our side. You know, and again, hopefully we don't have to get into the claims process again, but again, we have a very informative website and also walk you through the claims process. Again, we've come a long way as well. I mean, obviously, since the campfire, our organization has evolved and grown tremendously. And again, same thing. We're focused on constant improvement and making things easier for everyone.
You said something to me interesting on the phone. You talked about how you've grown tremendously, but it's actually the opposite of what you truly want to do, correct?
Yeah, so, you know, it's an interesting organization, especially in the insurance world. So our goal is to not be weak. Really, our goal is to see the markets restore and us to get to a point where we're no longer needed. That's really our purposes.
Would you say are there common misconceptions homeowners have about the fair plan?
You know, I think more than anything, and again, the campfire was the catalyst for so much change. And it's consumers have grown, have become more aware of how insurance works than they ever have. You know, so I think that's another thing. It used to be a bigger misconception because people didn't understand our products were customizable, our coverages were customizable. You literally, with your broker, select the coverages. So it wasn't just a big package of coverages. And I think it's important that because our premium is higher, that every element of coverage, you know you have the right amount, you feel comfortable with the amount you can afford. You know how it works. You have really vetted the broker you're working with. You look for alternatives. Our goal is to see you in the traditional carrier. So we want to, so again, there's no penalty. It's changing the term of Mercury or other carriers when you write a policy. There's absolutely no penalty for leaving this. And if for one reason or another they decide they're not able to insure you anymore, we're always going to be here for you. You can always go back at us. You know, so from an eligibility standpoint, we're very easy to qualify for. There's very few things that preclude you from getting a policy from us.
I think you make an interesting point about the broker because I think we've seen a gamut of costs if someone's on the fair plan. So I think it's very important to maybe not go with the first price you get, right? I think some brokers have more knowledge of the intimacies of our community, and it's important to not just believe one. Do your research, get one, because I've seen price differences within thousands for the same home on your plan.
Yeah, and you know, that's true in our industry where you're going to see sometimes the differences. And the key is there's a term called insuring your home to value. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what it would cost to rebuild your home today. So it's important to understand construction costs, and that's really a fluid number sometimes, you know, with materials and labor and things shift. You know, I spent a lot of time in Palisades and getting some of the reconstruction costs. They were talking to contractors there in town hall meetings versus what they were insured for. You know, people off guard. You know, and again, it's something that you want to review with your insurance broker every year. You want to know what the rebuild cost is. And again, it's not the value of your home. It's what it would cost to rebuild your home. So again, it's important to really keep that clear and work with your broker and an expert. And it doesn't hurt to have additional schools of thought. Just like a lot of important things we make in our decisions we make in our world, it's good that sometimes you're only one school of thought before you make a final decision.
Yeah, and I think also when we were on the phone, you said this today, like Paradise was the catalyst for very negative change with the fair plan. And I can't help but hope and think that maybe we'll be the catalyst for the good change. That Paradise will be the one who shifts it back toward standard policy and changes the insurance industry back to a whole.
Yeah, you know, and again, I don't feel it was a negative thing. It was more of a call to action. It was just it put us into action because we were not having the growth or that it was level. And again, I agree with you. And what I see in here, I mean, this meeting is fantastic. I mean, I literally have the opportunity to go to meetings for Firewise and Fire Safety Councils all over the state, town hall meetings, you name it. And this is definitely one of those well thought and put together meeting I've seen ever. So again, I think this was kind of like this definitely want to congratulate you on that. This is just been a very good experience, and it's the right direction, it's the right messaging. You're spending time on the right stuff, and you know, frankly, cringe because I bought a house last week in Sacramento County, brand new build, and my fence, the wood fence goes straight to my house, and I've got a side of my house that's only 3 feet. There's only a gap on 3 feet wide, and it's all wood. So I'm just cringing, sitting here, and I sit and cringe stuff all day, and that's real. That's 2025 construction. It's unfortunate that more people aren't paying attention.
Well, thank you so much. Phil will also have a table where you can answer more questions after we're done here. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We won't be able to
Appreciate
let the answer from us if we're looking ready. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here. We're going to wrap things up. I really want to thank Stacy. Stacy has done an enormous amount of work in the background for all of this, and I appreciate just the partnership and passion that you bring to Rebuild Paradise, and also Casey for willingness to be an intimate part of this. We also have many volunteers that are helping. If you could just put your hand up for a second. Thank you so much for being a background helper. You're so small. We thought to get on a standard policy, and we need you to understand, we can never ever change our hazard. We are choosing to live in a high hazard fire zone, but what we can do is reduce our risk. We do have a little bit of power, right? It's this collective effort. It's all these pieces. It's the firewise committees, it's the state, it's the Institute for Business and Home Safety, it's CAL FIRE, it's insurance companies, it's the town, it's nonprofits, it's even our park and recreation district. They're not here today, but they are working really hard on a buffer zone project. Al is actually back there. To help wildfire travels up canyon, they are trying to identify spots where they can mitigate over the years to keep us safe. This is instrumental in us being fire safe and insurable, and they are a big part of this puzzle. There are still challenges and unknowns, and I want to address those because I know there's people sitting in this audience that have a manufactured home. It's 1/3 of our rebuild. It makes up a lot of Magalia, and they aren't studied the same yet. So some of that challenge lies within science. I do know that solid foundation manufactured homes are going to be in a little bit better spot, but right now we don't have a good solution for you. You are still eligible for our defensible space grant. We still highly encourage Zone 0. It will protect you in the event of a fire, but we don't have a lot of great insurance solutions for you. We also have a guarantee. So you can do all these things and still be on the fair plan. And that is a hard message to give you, but insurance is very complicated. It comes in and out. So when opportunity lies for a new insurance company to come, we want you to be ready. We want you to be the first person in line that says, my house is ready, get me off the fair plan. The love for plants. This is a very big challenge that I think sometimes gets washed over. It's not just a rose bush. Often it has a sentimental value. I have a plant that was my great-grandmother's. So please don't see it as us dismissing or promoting only rock yards. This is not what this is. It's just the first 5 feet. Another unknown challenge is Magalia. And it has both. It still has a lot of fuel and also has newly constructed areas. It is hard to get insurers in there, and I promise you, we advocate every time one comes. We fight for Magalia too. You are part of our community, you are part of the Ridge, and it's going to take some collective work from people within Magalia to really help the homes and areas. I know there's many firewise communities there now, so please don't give up. Know that we're fighting for you. And sometimes insurers don't follow through, and that's not on you. So there's just some things we can't control, and we don't want you to give up. So this is an extraordinary complex issue, and we're trying to strip it down for you to understand and take home something tangible you can use. This has been very challenging for me to understand, and we're still learning a lot. As I said, providers come in and out. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be some providers coming in. So they will all be requiring a wildfire prepared home certificate. I want you to be ready for when they come in. It will be soon, and they will have a limited number of policies they can write. And we want to get you all fair plan. We want you all to be those homeowners. Once again, no guarantees for doing the right thing. Each company differs. Sometimes insurance companies have a hard time recognizing different or new ideas, like log cabin homes or straw bale homes. The key is to let them know if you've done something that is actually more fire safe. And I think what people think, why is it so hard in Paradise? It's not exclusive to us at all. This is a massive statewide issue. It's a national issue. This is everywhere. Everyone's policies are going through the roof. This is not just Paradise. We're not getting picked on. This is everywhere, but we are leading the way to change. There are many communities looking at us right now. Many. Monterey, Altadena, Palisades, Dixie Fire. Many people are looking at what we're doing because in a significant way. And it's not just one piece. I think this is what makes our community unique, right? It's hard when the resident in Magalia is doing all of the right things, but their neighbors aren't. That makes it hard for an insurance company. You really do need all the pieces together to make this work. And then what we really want this boils down to is personal responsibility. We want to give you the tools. We want to help you get a wildfire prepared home. We have resources in the back for you. I heard another fire chief from Nevada say this. He said, Zone 0 is the new seatbelt. And when we first started implementing seatbelts in cars, it wasn't, people weren't like, yay, I want a seatbelt. Most people were like, I don't want to do that. But it was for their own safety. And that's the best way I can describe Zone 0. It is for your own safety. I know you won't like everything that we're saying here, but our heart is to truly help you be fire safe and get you insurance.
Benjamin, her home was by the campfire, but her entire landscape was wiped out. During the years of COVID, she quietly got to work. What you're seeing now is 5 years of patience, grit, and growth, while still keeping defensible space to keep her home safe. And now she has a guardian that is thriving. Let her story remind you that with love, intention, and a little bit of everything else, anything's in her life to life.
That was a homeowner in Paradise whose home survived. It was a straw bale house. The windows broke. She lost every bit of landscape, but her home survived. She has worked really, really hard to bring her garden back and be mindful of Zone 0. It is one of the most beautiful yards I've ever seen. So please don't let this limitation take away your creativity. Thank you so much for being here. We have burritos for everybody here. We have chicken, beef, vegetarian. Please have some or we'll have way too many to take home. Use the resources in the back. We have a few insurance agents, Counter Paradise, and Ivan over at Madronis. He's going to be the person that helps you get that wildfire prepared home certificate. So, and then please ask us questions. We're here to communicate and help you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.